I think that our meeting today and our commitment to find the right path is something that gives us to be able to see forward. And by saying that, I also committed on what Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen already said. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And then I think we can take a few questions. Tom from BBC.
Yes, over here.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Foreign Minister. Just first of all, you talked about the working group. Can you just give us a sense of what this means now? So what has actually been agreed you're going to do next, despite this, as you described it, fundamental disagreement? And you mentioned the dog slaves. In terms of what you've announced in terms of beefing up security in the Arctic around Greenland, when you hear that kind of language from President Trump about amounting to no more than 2 dog slaves, how does that make you feel?
Well, that's actually quite a few questions at the same time. Well, I have known the president for quite a while, also in my former capacity as Prime Minister in Denmark, and I know his approach. But I must say, and even though he addressed things quite differently from what I would have done myself, there's also always a bit of truth in what he's saying, not about the dog slaves. Well, we also have dog slaves to our special forces. That's the way to, otherwise you couldn't come around in the northern part of Greenland. But I must say that, of course, we share to some extent his concerns. There is definitely a new security situation in the Arctic and the high north. All of us, transatlantic, took the peace dividend years ago, and we have the vision of keeping Arctic as a low-tension region. That's probably also why US themselves have decided to have a much softer footprint in Greenland. During the Cold War, at some stage, they had 17 different military installations and military bases. Now they only have 1. They had like 10,000 personnel in Greenland. Now they have around 200. That's not our decision. That's a US decision. And now the situation is entirely different. And of course, we have to respond to this. The big difference is whether that must lead to a situation where US acquire Greenland, and that is absolutely not necessary. I mean, we have the long-lasting diplomatic relation, the longest-lasting diplomatic relation with US that any US ally has, 225 years in a row. And we have a perfect framework which could be used. And therefore, to answer your question, even though we wasn't so successful that we reached, a conclusion where our American colleagues said, "Oh, sorry, it was a totally misunderstanding. We gave up on our ambitions." There's clearly a disagreement. We agreed that it makes sense to try to sit down on a high level to explore whether there is possibilities to accommodate the concerns of the president, while we at the same time respect the red lines of the Kingdom of Denmark. So this is the work we will start. Whether that is doable, I don't know. I hope, and I would like to express that it could take, down the temperature. We have now had like 13 months with this ongoing discussions in social media, and this is actually the very first time where we could sit down at a top political level to discuss it. And it was a great opportunity also for Vivian and I to go up against the narrative, because it is not a true narrative that we have, Chinese warships all around the place. According to our intelligence, we haven't had a Chinese warship in Greenland for a decade or so. So from that perspective, it was a very constructive meeting. As I said, frank discussion among equal partners, and now at least we have to give it a try. Do you want to add anything?
No, I think it's very important to say it again that how important it is from our side to strengthen our cooperation with the United States, but that doesn't mean that we want to be owned by United States, but as allies, how we can strengthen our cooperation, it's all our interest.